why the Oscars don't matter. Why the Academy Awards? Nobody. It really means nothing. It's like 10 people that sit in a room and say this is the movie I like the best.
It's
And
actually about 6,000 people, by the way.
no, 10 people.
No, actually, the
10.
Academy Awards is famous for having 6,000.
10 people.
Some
10.
say close to 7,000.
10 people. But
You might be
yeah.
thinking Golden Globes.
Well. And the reason I'm saying this is just because, not because when you see these movies that come out as, Best Picture or something like that, half the time you haven't heard of half the list. The other half the time you have heard of half the list, but it's only come out in like limited release. They only release it in like New York and LA. And the reason they do that is so that they can get nominated for the Oscars. Like there's a movie, Foxcatcher, that was nominated for a lot of things, not Best Picture this year, but it released in like 5 theaters. I mean, literally maybe like 50 or 100, but that's not many theaters. So let's just go over this. My big metric of why the Oscars don't matter is because they're supposed to tell you these are some of the best movies, these are what you should watch, these are the best performances, here you go. And those aren't the movies anybody watches. So I'm just going to go down the list of the top 10 grossing movies of 2014. Real quick, Interstellar, that's probably the highest acclaimed movie, came in with $660 million at number 10. Hunger Games Mockingjay, $697 million. Planet of the Apes, $708 million. Amazing Spider-Man 2, $709 million. Captain America 2, $714 million. Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies, $743 million. X-Men Days of Future Past, $748 million. Maleficent, $757 million. Guardians of the Galaxy, $772 million. And can you guess what the highest grossing movie of 2014 was? Arguably the worst movie released in 2014 as well.
There's been a lot of bad movies this year, so...
Arguably the worst. It was Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. I mean, if you wanted to see a piece of crap, that was a piece of crap. I mean, I enjoy robots. I sat through the first 3 and I enjoyed them. Just because it was like robots fighting. Okay, they give you robots fighting, but the worst story I've ever seen, just like there's literally one part where Mark Wahlberg runs up to this wall, they kind of pan up and they pan back to him, and it's a totally different wall he's standing in front of. So really, like that's how bad this movie was, and just the plot makes no sense. There's too many plot holes, but that grossed over $1 billion worldwide. Now let's look at the 8 movies awarded that are up for Best Picture nomination. American Sniper, I heard it's amazing. Haven't seen it. Boyhood, I heard it's pretty good. It's just a very interesting tale. Grand Budapest Hotel, the only movie on this list that I've actually seen. The Imitation Game, another one I do want to see. Selma, want to see it. The Theory of Everything, don't really care about that one. And Whiplash, I've never even heard of that movie. So, I mean, what's the point of having these critics say these are the great movies and then just not letting anybody see it?
I don't think that... Hold on. That doesn't make the Oscars worthless, though.
Yes.
They're telling people about it.
Yeah, no,
about these great
worthless.
movies.
They're
not
worthless.
worthless.
They don't have any bearing on what movies are, how movies are made. Doesn't have any bearing on what movies are made. All it is pretty much, if you say there's 6,000, I believe you. There's 8 movies made a year for 6,000 people. Every other movie's made for everybody else.
Now hold on, though. Like, you gotta look at when those are released. But the other thing is, at least historically, it's not till after when a movie makes like Best Movie nomination. After that is when you start seeing those movies released wider, and those movies start generating sales like crazy.
Grand Budapest Hotel was released back in May, and it was released in very limited release. It was very small theaters. Actually, I saw it because I had heard about it somewhere. It was a really, really good movie. I really enjoyed it. But I can say that I watched almost all of the top 10 movies on the highest grossing movies. I've watched one of the 8 movies. And
that just shows you what people are watching. Like what gets people into big theaters. But what gets people into big theaters is confidence of the theater companies and the distributors and production companies of this having mass appeal, which is different than this being a good movie. They don't care if it's a good movie or not. They're like, well, will people come and see this?
But what
Other
dictates
ones,
in a
it's harder to
democratic
get at.
society? What dictates what's a good movie and what's not? It's how many people go see it. I mean, it's
No, not necessarily. That just means they
if
have
you
better
really,
marketing.
you could make the best movie ever, like best acted and everything, and if nobody goes to see it, like it's the whole. If a tree falls in the forest, nobody's around to hear it. Does it make a sound? Does it?
Yes. Yes, it
How do you
does.
know? You can't prove that.
I can
We
put a
don't have many
camera.
recording devices out there. There's nobody around to hear it. Maybe it's a
I'm
silent falling
not
tree.
around here. I can detect
Maybe
the
there's a big gust of
vibrations.
wind that gently
I can
lifts it down.
detect the vibrations, the sound vibrations far away.
I'm just saying that the Oscars are supposed to be this big measuring stick about what a successful movie is all about, but yet they never, and not never. There's like when the Lord of the Rings, the third one came out, got a bunch of Oscar nods and stuff. I believe that was even up for Best Picture when that came out.
It got Best
That
Picture.
made
The
a
third one got Best Picture.
bazillion dollars.
Yeah.
Huh?
Third
Did the
one
third
did
one
get-
win Best Picture?
Yeah, I think the other two were up for it each year, but they kept getting denied. But the third one, I think, actually got it.
So, I mean, and that's great. I mean, I think that was an amazing movie, but year after year, you usually don't. It's about the same as we see here. You have the nominated ones, and you have the ones that everybody went to go see. And I'm not saying, and I'm just, yeah, no, I was about to say, I'm not saying that they don't matter. I'm saying that they don't matter in popular
Hmm. Yeah, well, it's a matter of
nominated. I like to watch some of
quality.
these movies. I like some of these. Well,
Yeah,
quality.
I think it's a matter
I
of
mean,
its quality versus appeal versus popularity.
yeah, but
Which,
popularity
but still, I
determines
think
how good
I
something
do
is.
think that I
If
do
nobody
think that
buys your
after the
product, your
nominations,
product's no
their
good.
sales go up. But I think after the nominations, their sales go up.
That's every now and then. I mean, American Sniper's been out. I mean, a lot of these movies, like I said, are limited release. They're released just for
Yeah,
the
but you might see if they get the nomination or if they get the award, you might see more theater like putting them into more theaters. Like I think they do that sometimes.
maybe sometimes. But how long do movies really last in theaters? Not more than 2 months, if it's a really big movie. So I mean, it doesn't matter. If you're making movies for the Academy, okay, that's cool. But if you're making movies for everybody to go see, in terms of how many people went to see it and how many people buy your product or buy tickets to your product, really should determine the worth of said product. Then these movies are almost worthless. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I would disagree.
Oscars don't matter.
I think
I agree. I
I
enjoy
guess-
these movies, but I rent them on
Ah.
Redbox.
I guess
I don't
there's
go to the
also
theater.
the difference of are you making movies because you love filmmaking and you want to make the best quality, or are you making movies because you want to make a popular big blockbuster movie? And those are just different styles. But I think it's also just kind of this year you see that a lot of these were limited release.
No, I
'Cause
mean,
I know
this
in
is
previous
not a
years there's
uncommon
often
thing.
like big ones. There are big ones though in other years. It's just
It's not all the time. What best picture last year was 12 Years a Slave. That was a relative success. It probably might have ranked in the top 10, but closer to the 10th. I mean, that movie's not for everybody. That was for Oscar voters. I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad movie. It was a very powerful, good movie. But if what determines value on something, how good it is how many people go see it, which it should be.
why
the
is that
metric,
the
like,
measuring stick? Why is that the
okay,
point?
let's say a cereal brand comes out and they put it on the shelves and nobody buys it. What happens to that cereal brand? Labeled no good. It is not a success. It is not a commercial success. And
But
it could be the best tasting cereal in the world, but if nobody eats it, what does it matter?
But again, you're looking at different ideas. You're looking at the quantity of people purchasing it. So a marketing thing, a commercial success versus success of the art, and also like a cereal box, like whatever, that's made to be a commercial product. You want
What do
it
you
to
think a
continue.
movie's made to be? Movies definitely made to be a commercial product.
Yeah, but not to the same extent. Movies are also sometimes made to be art pieces that you go out and they're not meant to like continue
movies
forever.
are made for people to see and for widespread people to see. Yeah, there are these indie films out there and everything like that, but those indie films would come out in hopes of catching it big and skyrocketing. The more people see your movie, the more value you have to it. A movie has no value. It's like a picture that never gets seen. What's the point? Like, okay, I took this awesome picture, but it's in the dark. You can't ever see it.
We're not talking about stuff that no one's seeing. It's just there's less.
6,000 people are seeing it.
Other people are seeing it too. If there's a release in 500 theaters, or 100 theaters, which is difficult to get into, by the way, it is actually pretty difficult for a movie to get into that. And they probably push. They want, like, all these guys that are making these movies, most of them want to get a wider release. It's just not easy to get.
I can almost guarantee you all of these movies on the Best Picture nods are backed by some sort of Sony, MGM, one of those huge Universal, one of those huge motion picture studios who could, and they do, have the pull to say, hey, we want you to put this movie in all of your theaters. We want two.
They could, but that's up to them to do it.
Dedicated theaters for each one. You know, like those huge multiplexes that have 14 different screens, and they say, okay, this, and they'll push out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They'll push out the Captain America 2. They'll push those and say you have to give us 3 dedicated screens for that. But then they say, oh, you can take this one if you want or not.
Yeah.
That to me, I mean, and if it's, I mean, yes.
And sometimes they could. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
I'm just saying the worth of these movies is determined by how many people go see them. And now, like I said, the worst of the bunch, my opinion, like the worst acted, the worst scripted, the worst produced was Transformers. But yet that was also the best because it made the most money. What are you doing?
So you're saying that Transformers is the best movie just because it made the most money?
I'm saying that. I'm saying that it becomes the best. Ipso
It's
facto.
the best.
Because
it's the most effective for making money.
Yes. And what
but
is
if you're looking at quality of the movie, it's not.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. If you sell more tickets, you made the better movie. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you should just have the better marketing team.
No, because, well, yeah. Transformers did have huge marketing. No, it also got released in China, which not a lot do. So I think about like 200 million of that was because of the China release, and I don't think most of these other ones got released in China. So that's part of it. I'm just saying that the Oscars should mean something. Like, it should be like, okay, this movie's nominated for Best Picture. It should get just as wide of a release as Transformers, but it doesn't. And
okay, so you're saying, though, you're not saying that the Oscars are meaningless because they select what they consider the best movie that doesn't happen to be a popular one. You're saying it's because they don't give it enough push to get a wider release, because the Oscars happen after.
No, it's because it makes it has no.
Would you rather them pick from all the movies that did do big release? Like,
yes,
are they?
I would.
In which case,
I would say you have to hit 500 theaters at least, not 2. You know, I mean, I'm just saying the Oscars don't mean anything because they have no effect on what people actually see.
They do, though. I think people end up seeing those movies more like after the fact, but they're not going to be able to retroactively change things because the Oscars happen after these
they really
movies
have no
already
effect
been
on the
released.
marketplace. They have no effect, and they say these are the best movies, but they're not the ones that took off the most. Like, we can't say we're the best YouTube channel because we only have 57 subscribers. PewDiePie can say he's the best YouTube channel because he's got 20 million. Even though if I don't agree with that, I think our content's better. The popular opinion is saying that he is the best.
I guess it depends on what you're looking for best, like whether you're looking for quantity or quality.
Well, we're going to have to let the listeners decide. Let us know what you think should be the determining factor. Do the Oscars matter or do they not? Is it about how much money you make and how many people see your product, or is it all right just to have one person see it?
I mean,
hit us up, comments down below. We've been talking too long about this one. No, hit us up, comments down below. Of course, @words for my face on Twitter, Google Plus and Facebook. Always good ways of getting a hold of us. But let's keep on moving.